I've sat in on the charter review meetings, and I know, and I've spoken that I'd like to see appointments go, all of the appointments go before the city council, and the mayor not have the appointing authority. I think it's just a concern I have. I don't like it that we don't see all of the applications. I think we should. I don't think we should have to ask for them. I think they should all come before city council. We should all hire the best person for the job, and it should be a joint decision. I don't think it should be left to one person. And so when I talk about it being a political, my concerns for it being turning into a political problem, that's where I'm coming from. And the issue of public health is serious. And I don't want to have a problem, I'll just use an example of manure at the fairgrounds and it causing a smell and not having the right decisions being made because it's the three-county fairground. I'm not picking on anybody, I'm just using it as an example.
Is that an actual thing that happened?
No, it's not an actual thing that
I just
happened.
want to clarify that.
But that's just one small example of where my concern.
It's a one small hypothetical. It's not an example.
Yeah, it's totally hypothetical.
I just, as a city councilor, I think my political acumen is better than anybody else's, and all my decisions are better. But I don't know that us as a council necessarily always make the best decisions. And, you know, that's a fair thing to say. The council should be making the appointments, and that's a route we could talk about and someday go down there. But they're both political. One is political by a larger group, the other is political by the mayor. And so that's a larger discussion. But they're both going to be political decisions. It's not like we're taking it out of the hands of it perhaps getting tainted in a group making a wrong decision for political reasons. We are just as susceptible as any one individual. So,
Councilor Markowitz, then Councilor.
I think it's also, I mean, it's a separation of powers issue. You have a clearly defined executive and a clearly defined legislature. And it's also, you know, it's a check, you know, so this idea that you would have the council and the mayor together doing it, I think you have that, but it's a separate process. So the mayor makes the appointment, makes the nomination, and then the council has every right to say, we don't like that nominee. I mean, this is what happens at the federal level. This is what happens at the state level. I mean, it's a very common model. I don't know of any models where the legislature, this is the typical model where the chief executive oversees all the administrative agencies and makes appointments to the heads of those agencies or the people that serve in those agencies. They go before Congress, they go before the state legislature, there's hearings, and then they vote on them. And if they don't like that person, then the chief executive has to send another one, whether it's the Supreme Court or whether it's, you know, the FDA director. So anyway, I think it's a little bit overstated. And I think if you look at the rest of our city government, the way it's structured, this actually is more in line with the rest of how we structure our city government. So, in my experience, having been through a number of these Board of Health appointments, I don't really know that we do a great job in terms of the appointments. We get all these applications, and I still think it's just as political a process. It's not like it's any different a process, the council doing it as the mayor doing it. And it will be political when the appointment comes to us, in terms of there's 9 politicians sitting around a table deciding who the right person for the job is. So again, I think it's important to have a separation between the two branches of government, and to set up a system where there's a check and a balance. So the executive appoints, and then the legislature has the opportunity to study that, to question the person that's being appointed, and then to decide whether or not to nominate.
I agree with everything that we're trying to do here. I absolutely agree with 5 members over 3. I agree with accountability that Village Director talked to, because it really is, some accountability needs to happen here. I do think that maybe a larger discussion might be helpful if all of these applications came before the city council. I don't know how many there could be. I don't believe everybody anybody is gonna be jumping out of their skin trying to volunteer their services to the city of Northampton. I know a lot of them that probably volunteered and wish to Christ they hadn't. But still, I think that maybe the applications could come before the city council. That's the only thing, that's the only concern I have is, first off, all of the members will be appointed by the mayor and then confirmed by the council. And then who would hire the director? Would it be the board or would it be the mayor?
It
The board.
says clearly that
So
the board.
essentially, so anyway, would you say it would be the board or would it be the mayor? As the cards were played. So it could be political. So whoever the mayor is, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference.
Could we define what,
Yes.
could we define what would be political?
I don't know if you could.
What would be helpful, because that seems to be thrown around here. What does that mean?
Well, that's why I thought that maybe the larger discussion might be helpful of 9 rather than 1.
Well, but I'm still trying to understand. I don't have any relatives in town, so I'm not going to appoint a relative. Okay, just put that at ease. What would be, if you look at the history of my appointments to various boards and
I'm not
committees.
talking about you.
But go back to Mary Ford, go back to Dave Musanti. I think we have a history in this community of trying to appoint people that are reasonable people. And so you have the veto power over anybody that I or any other mayor would bring forward. That's the point of the checks and balances. I think it would be helpful to define again, what do people mean when they say political? Are they saying that somebody would be appointed that wouldn't do what they're required to do under state law?
I think the autonomy, the Board of Health, the health department has autonomy in a lot of areas.
Absolutely.
So, but the larger discussion might be helpful if the council saw the applications that came in. I just think it wouldn't be such a focused discussion, it would be a broader discussion amongst the council on the appointments of the board members. Period, that's just my concern.
But are you talking about every appointment in the whole city?
No,
the mayor
just,
makes?
no, just
Just
this,
this one, okay.
just the Board of Health.
Make an amendment. You can make an amendment.
I just
At
have a
the time
question.
that it comes to your committees, yeah.
I have a question. Who would have the powers to dismiss for just cause? Would it be the board?
The board,
So then the board is appointed by the mayor.
right?
So
And
I see a
confirmed
little
by the
bit from,
confirmed by the council.
but
Everyone
again,
keeps forgetting
but the
that.
powers to dismiss, and it's taking it out of your hands when she has the hire done, it's out of your hands.
But I'm not doing the hire.
No, again, appointing, let's use the proper words, appointing. Okay, so that it would be,
These are the mayor, we have a 2-year term
Right.
mayor and 3-year terms for the
I
board. of health.
understand that.
They overlap each other. You know, the mayor could be gone by the time the next board gets
It could be,
appointed.
it could be.
So,
I
I
just,
hear what you're
it was a
saying.
question, it was
fair
thrown out
question,
there.
fair question.
I have to say, and I'll say it again, I agree, it goes into the mayor's office. I think of us 9 councilors, if we want to put our heads together, thank you, little old lady, and bring in all of these applications, which I feel we can go up to that office and ask the secretaries, can we take a look at other applications that have come in besides the one the mayor has appointed? We have the rights, or anybody has the rights to go into that office to take a look at it. And as long as I've been a counselor, it's always ran this way, where they came to us at city council. And I think that's where the power is. You have 9 counselors, and you can vote against that appointee that the mayor has brought forth. I don't see what this big issue is, and I'm going to be honest about this. When we can take that applicant and say, no, we do not want it.
I'm going to, council question. Go ahead.
We can go to the mayor's office and we can look at the applications till we're blue in the face. It's still the mayor's appointment. And she still puts forward, or whomever the mayor is, puts forward the application that they want to put forward.
So you
And
say no.
I've spoken to charter committee, no, I don't think that should be the process. I absolutely do not think that should be the process. I think that city councilors should be seeing all of these applications to so that we as a group can make a decision as who is the best qualified. We recently had an appointment to the planning board, which I voted against. I did not think that he was the one that was qualified for the job. I thought we needed to have stronger education and experience in those issues that we're dealing with in the city of Northampton. And I didn't think that this person should have been appointed, but it wasn't our it's the mayor's appointment.
But that,
But it was there was a vote of the city council and you were in the minority. So
Absolutely.
we still have a representative government, so that's how it
Sometimes
felt.
therein lies the problem.
so I'm gonna suggest that when this goes back to your, I'm gonna suggest that when you go back to your committees, if you wanna amend this, you have the right to amend it.
Yeah, I was just gonna make the same point. Counselor, if you have a recommendation, Counselor Tacey, you might recommend that process. I mean, I'd be willing to look at that. I'm not attached to how we would go about.
I'm okay with everything in here, what we're trying to do,
No, I know
except
the
that
last-
one point.
So I would like to see, when it comes back to another committee to look at what that amendment, I'd be open to looking at that.
I'm gonna make one point here. You're arguing about the Board of Health and your appointments, which you had 100% authority over. And the department was falling apart.
Well, that was, we're new city councilor, so I think.
I'm making a
No,
point.
Angela, that is wrong.
What, I didn't hear what you said.
I think we're new city councilors, I'm sorry, I have not been involved as some of you have in the last few years, so I can't really speak to that.
Many of the city councilors tried to get involved, but the reality is because of the way this process worked, it was very difficult for city councilors to create accountability, which is why, and I'm going to, again, give Councilor Labarge credit, she said we need to change this process. So it was the way you said, councilors got to see every application that made the appointments, and I'm not disparaging any individual member of the board, but the accountability was not there. It just wasn't there, or we wouldn't be here today.
Thank you, I appreciate that.